Good.
All right. Good evening and welcome to our 6-part series that Lloydminster District Co-op is putting on regarding wellness. You can probably notice that we've had a few technical difficulties, so I apologize for that as we work through this. But we are very excited to go live and have a great discussion here, a 6-part series around wellness. Today, and for all 6 parts, we're going to have Donna Schellenburg speaking to us around wellness, and we're very excited about that. And throughout the program, you'll be able to, there should be a place where you could send questions in if you have any questions, and we're going to ask those on your behalf. But with no further ado, I'm gonna introduce Donna, and we'll let her go through some of the material and have a great conversation. But so Donna is the owner and head instructor to the core Pilates and nutrition. Donna has a diploma in personal training from Mount Royal College and is fully certified as a STOT Pilates instructor and a precision nutrition certified nutrition coach. Her inspiration comes from her dad, and her experiences going through chronic illness. His positive attitude and his unwillingness to quit formed a new perspective in terms of health and wellness and where our health system is currently failing us. With this experience came a new insight into health and wellness, which include a huge shift from aesthetic fitness to whole body health and how movement impacts everything else in the body, including mental and social considerations. Donna is self-admittedly a bit obsessed with learning new things and is consistently adding new knowledge. She is a certified nutrikinetic therapy or NKT practitioner and has just completed her level 6 myofascia and energetic length technique or MELT training, as well as various applied movement neurology courses, and is fascinated by how the brain controls movement and subconscious actions. Donna is always looking for new techniques and systems that can help her clients move better and improve their quality of life. When Donna isn't working, you can find her at the cabin where she is. She takes the time to relax and unload and find her own balance in life. So welcome, Donna, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here, and I was very excited when you told me about all the initiatives that the co-op does to promote health and wellness within their staff, and that we were going to then take that and promote it out to the community and out to the co-op members. So I think that that's an amazing initiative to take on. So thank you for doing that. I think there needs to be more conversations about this. So for me, we approach health from a pillars standpoint. And so when we talk about health, we talk about the 6 pillars. Mm-hmm. And these 6 pillars cover a wide range of things. I kind of look at them like legs on a table. And so when these 6 legs, if one of them starts to kind of deteriorate or break off a little bit, then the table becomes unstable. Kind of like our table here was a little unstable a few minutes ago. But then if a second leg also starts to deteriorate a little bit, then the table becomes even more unstable. And our health is the same way. And so we want to be able to find balance in all 6 of those pillars. And I think most people are a little surprised when we start talking about them because they don't really think that it applies. A lot of these things we're going to talk about over the 6 weeks apply to health overall, right? And so when we're going to start talking today, we're going to talk about purpose and talk about, it's called existential health. But first, I kind of want to give a little overview of some of the things just around being proactive about what health means, and then get into the existential health portion. So I think probably the first thing that's really important is that we have to understand that your health is your responsibility. So how your health turns out, number one, is your priority. It is totally up to you. And it's no one else's responsibility other than yours, right? I think as a society, we've really become very dependent on what we call the healthcare system, but what I call the sick care system. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that in a minute. But I think one of the things that's important is that we recognize that there's a difference in perspective. So if we're looking at wellness as I have to take a holiday to get away from my life, I have to go on a crazy diet as a quick fix to get to where I need to be. I'm going to do these crazy workouts and I can do it for 30 days and then I can't do it anymore. Or that I have to be on a lot of medications is another thing. A lot of people look at health in those terms. I look at health as a totally different thing. I look at health as gratitude. Gratitude for what I have, for my health, for the people around me, for the community that I get to surround myself with, and the people within those communities, because that's important for my health, right? I look at it as balance in my nutrition, balance in how I look after my physical health. And nutrition, about 80%, pretty good. The 20% is, well, there's a birthday or, we have to celebrate, and culture and things around nutrition matters. Fitting in that regular movement every single day. And when I deal with clients, I tend to call it movement. It's not exercise, it's moving. Right. And that movement is so important. I think so many people have a negative connotation with the whole exercise thing. So right. Movement's more important. And then getting hydration and sleep, and then reducing stress, right? These things have a really big impact on our health. And I think probably for you, you've been in a major change in your health over the last few years. And for some of the things that you've done are these things, right? That wellness portion. And those are the things that you've been changing. And so the impact on your life is pretty huge. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So that's where I always like to start. I want to change people's perspective and change the conversation from health is all about I have to lose weight and I have to exercise like a crazy person, to there is so much more that we need to talk about. Right. And so this is where we come to, okay, where are we at as far as a sick care versus a healthcare system? And we really consider our healthcare system to be what looks after our health. And I believe it is not. I believe that it is a sick care system. This is when you enter into our healthcare system, you are entering into damage control. Right. That you've reached that point now where you have to put your health into somebody else's hands because you have not looked after your health up to that point. Right? Healthcare is what you do. Right. And so we tend to think of our healthcare providers as our chiropractors and our massage therapists and our doctors and our specialists and all the people that we go to who are going to fix us. But what if we took responsibility for ourselves, right? What if we started paying attention and looked after our own health first and then used those tools when we actually needed them? And if we did that, the cost savings for what our government would have to pay for healthcare would be drastically reduced. Right. 80% of our cardiovascular issues can be cured by what we're going to talk about over the next 6 weeks. Sure. Right? That's substantial. Yep. So if we got rid of 80% of the cardiovascular disease that is happening in Alberta and Saskatchewan right now, how much less would we be paying for healthcare? Right. It's huge.
A lot.
It's a lot, right? When you look at disease overall, 90% of diseases can be completely cured or radically changed by lifestyle changes. Yeah. And so that, again, takes us out of the healthcare system, sick care system, and into what do? This is all about us, right? And so when we talk about wellness, this is being proactive. This is creating real health. This is creating what are you going to go and do to make you better, right? And I think it's important that we start having those conversations more, right? Instead of, oh, I'm just getting old. This is normal because I'm getting old. Right. It's not normal. It's not normal to be 40 years old and feel like you're 80. Correct. It's common, but it is not normal. That's not how life's supposed to be. Yeah. People shouldn't be feeling like they're falling apart when they're 40, right? So for people that are feeling like that, I would really encourage you to keep listening to the things we're going to be talking about because it's really important. This is a quote from the University of Tennessee. Most types of medicine focus on treating an illness or an injury rather than keeping it from happening. Preventative medicine stops sickness before it starts. And how does it do that? It does it by preventing disease, disability, and death, one person at a time. And this is really what we're talking about, is being able to prevent those things from happening in the first place. Okay. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I think it just, I mean, the basic premise of just movement. I mean, we were designed at the beginning, I believe, was movement is important, right? So that makes total sense to take that responsibility and move forward with that. So no, I do have some questions around motivation, and so I'll ask later.
So we'll ask some more later.
Yeah.
That's all good. And so I'm very much about being proactive, and we teach our clients a lot of things that they can do to be proactive about their health. And I think a lot of people, when they start thinking about being proactive about their health, they just bite off too big of a chunk at one time. And they think they have to do everything at one time. And the reality is they don't. Being proactive can mean you take little tiny steps and you do one thing at a time. You're probably going to be more successful at it anyway, rather than to change everything at once. That doesn't mean you can't be, because there are people that are just so driven that they can do it. They change everything and they're successful,
right? But
they're the minority, right? And so when we talk about proactive care, we're talking about reducing disease risk. We're talking about really executing lifestyle choices that are going to improve your health long term. For every dollar that we spend in our healthcare system on prevention, we can actually save a minimum of $9 later on down the road.
Wow.
It increases substantially when we're talking about kids, right? So if you figure they have a much longer lifespan, right? So if you spend that dollar on prevention and start teaching kids about their physiology while they're in school and the things that they can do to improve their health, then that savings can be as high as $30, right? So if you think about that for long term, it's a substantial investment that we do not need to make into our healthcare system, our sick care system. So when we get reactive, we're talking about things like screenings, right? And doing all the tests and going for blood tests and having to constantly go back and forth and being on medications all the time. That is your sick care system. And that's what happens when you're already ill. When we're being proactive, we're doing all the things to keep us from being within the system. And then once we're already there, then you kind of get stuck into a little bit of a vicious circle or a vicious cycle of being stuck in the system, right? So I tell clients that being proactive really means that you have to quit letting everybody else fix you. And I have clients that come in and, oh, I heard that you're going to fix me. No, no, not my job. That's not my job to fix you. That's your job.
Yeah.
I can give you all the tools in the world, but if you don't choose to use them, it doesn't matter, right? And there's a lot of tools available for people to make themselves well, but they're choosing not to use them, right? And so this is the first part of being proactive, is realizing and understanding that those are there and then being willing to grasp them and start to implement them and use them a little bit.
100%.
Yeah. And the other side of this is also that it might cost you some money. And I think that we've gotten so used to saying, well, that's not covered, so I'm not going to do it. If it was good for me, it would be covered, right? And I hear it all the time from people that'll say, well, is that covered for me? You teach people about nutrition. Is that covered by my healthcare? No, it's not, right? And I think we have to get used to the fact that when it comes to looking after our health, we're probably going to have to spend a little bit of money. Now, it doesn't have to be tons, but you might have to buy a pair of running shoes,
Yeah,
right? And that's not going to be written off. Not everything is written off and paid for by the government just because it's your health. And I think we need to not rely on our government to do that part for us, right? And so that's also part of it. I mean, you got to be willing to go and spend a little bit of money to look after yourself.
100%.
Right? And there's a lot of alternatives out there to look after your health, but they will cost you a little bit of money.
Right.
So that's also there. I have a stat up here, and I always forget what the percentage is, so I always want to check it. There's been a 233% increase in healthcare costs since 1997. That's higher than any other area of our economy. That's massive.
That's huge.
We have an incredibly sick population, right? And that's why our healthcare costs are so high. And so I think it's really important that we start being proactive, not just from a financial standpoint for our economy of our country and of our province and of our city, but also just from a personal standpoint and from being more self-aware, right? And understanding that you can't put all that responsibility on somebody else all the time. Yeah. And it also costs us a lot of money. So the average family of four will spend about 17 grand on healthcare costs each year.
Wow.
Out of your taxes.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a substantial amount of money when you start looking at it. So today we're talking about existential or purposeful health. When I say the word existential, I'm just like, what the heck does that mean? And so basically it's why. Why is it important? Why do you want to make changes to your health in the first place? So I'm going to kind of put this one back on you.
Sure.
Because you did. You made some substantial changes to your health over the last couple of years. So why? Why was that important? Why did you decide that was actually a thing?
Well, for me, I hit my heaviest weight and I was feeling very sluggish. The stairs into our office was demanding alone. And I was also going through a lot of things from a mental health perspective, actually. I wasn't in a great place. A lot of factors that were causing that. And one of the things I needed to do was just start movement again. And so I started walking. And many years ago, I used to be a pretty active runner and was walking, and then I could walk and run a little bit, and run a little bit more. And I kind of had some good momentum going. But the biggest thing I was looking for originally out of the whole thing was I just needed to get out and smell the fresh air first thing in the morning before I was going to work, let the ultraviolet light hit my eyes and feel the sun a little bit and go out for a walk. And like it was 20 minutes and maybe 1.5 kilometers, but just some movement. It started pretty small, but I was feeling a lot better. And when I miss, those days, I could tell a difference in my mood and just had a lot of success. And that first winter coming into that was a challenge because I knew, I can't walk outside all winter. In my head, that's what I was thinking then. I walk much more now in the winter outside, but I decided to get a gym membership and just move inside and kind of start moving that way. And I actually applied a little bit of weights and it just continued to grow. But I feel good and it helps my confidence. But most importantly, it was up here at the end of the day. It was how I felt, I guess, releasing those endorphins and feeling better about myself and mentally clearing my head, listening to some good music and just kind of do my thing. And really I ended up having the mindset, and it took me a while to learn it, but like and I've thought about this lots, we give so much of our time away to everything else we do. And rightfully we should, right? Like we give so much time, whether we're, to our career, to our loved ones in our life. I think we're worth giving yourself an hour, right? Like I think we're worth doing that for ourselves too. And so that's where my head went. And so I don't know if that answers it totally, does. But like that's where I was at, and that was my motivation and why.
Yeah. And so your why is strong, right? Your why is connected to who you are. It was very strongly attached to you knew from a mental health standpoint. You needed to do, like there was a really strong purpose in you doing it, right? And making those changes. Everyone has a different why.
Right.
Most people don't realize that their why is actually attached to their values, to their personality, to things that they did as children, right? But values is really a big one, right? My values include integrity, honesty, and family. Right. Those are my 3 big ones, right? The reasons why I look after my own health all tie back to those 3 things. From an integrity standpoint, I think it's important that I'm a good role model, not just for my clients, but also for community, for my family. I think that the honesty standpoint is I want to be able to provide everybody with really great information. And then the family part is I want to be able to do all the things that I want to do with my family. I want to be active with my family. I have grown kids, but I mean, they still want to go and do things. And I would love to be in the mountains with them and, and then grandkids on the way. Wow, wouldn't that be great, right?
We thought lots about that. Like we want to be able to be on the ground playing with our grandkids.
Exactly.
We're not there yet, but it's probably not far away.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
And so if part of your purpose and your value system is being close to your family and being able to play and be on the ground and then this becomes more important. Mm-hmm. That becomes part of your purpose as well, right? And so if you think of where you were before, do you think you would have been in the right mindset to do those things? Right. Would you have felt as physically capable of doing those things if you would have kept on the path that you were on before?
Right.
It would have been different.
It would have been.
Yeah, than it is now. And so it's interesting when we start to tie people's purpose in, then they become much more driven in a different way, right? So some people will consider this kind of spiritually or woo-woo kind of side of things. But if we don't have purpose, and this can be just in life overall, then it becomes a very lonely thing, right? It's hard to get out of bed every morning and do something if you don't have a reason for doing it. And getting up and looking after our own health is no different. Having that purpose, that reason to get up and, I want to see the sun in my face or feel the sun in my face. And I want to get that fresh air, and it boosts all those endorphins and just getting that movement in first thing in the morning. The things it does for me later on in the day is amazing, right? Yeah. And once you start to feel those things tied to your purpose, then it's easier to keep doing it, right? And you're less likely to find excuses as to why maybe I can't.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because then you lose track of your purpose. Yeah. And so the purpose part, when I originally start talking to people about it, they'll often look at me and say, "But I don't have any purpose." Well, you do. You just don't know what it is right now because nobody's ever asked you that question before. Right. Nobody asked you. Yeah. Right. And you probably didn't think of it in those terms either, that your purpose was to help improve your mental health so you could do different things with your family, be more present, right? All those things are really, really important. Right. And your story is yours, right? And everybody else's will be different as well. Yeah. Their purpose will be different. So I always say people have a deeper why or purpose for life as part of a bigger picture. And that it's when you have a sense of purpose, you have a deeper sense of your self-worth. You mentioned it. Your self-esteem goes up. Mm-hmm. Your self-worth increases when you make yourself a priority and when those priorities actually meet your values and your purpose, right? And like I said, you explained it very well because you've experienced it. Yeah. And you didn't know you were experiencing it, but I knew you would. As soon as I asked you, I was like, "Oh yeah, you got this." So when we talk to clients about figuring out what their purpose is, we always want to make sure that it aligns with their beliefs and their values, right? All right. So this is key healthy behaviors. So for each pillar, as we're talking about them, I kind of isolated them out a little bit as key healthy behaviors. And so for existential health, we have 3: embracing freedom and responsibility, creating personal meaning, and then a sense of agency. And so these things each have a totally different context. Yeah. So the first one, you have the capacity for free choice. Yes. We already talked about this. This is your choice. The choices that you make have consequences. And so if you choose, or if you would have chosen, I'm going to just stay on the same path I'm on now, there was a consequence to that. You also had the free choice to change things, and you did. And so now your consequence is different. Right? So this is what we talk about when it's freedom and responsibility. This is all up to you, and you have freedom of choice. I've had conversations with people where they say it's somebody else's fault that I'm here, and they want to blame somebody else for where their health is. To each their own.
Yeah, and that's interesting because, I think it's probably an area we've experienced in our life. I've heard it many times, but maybe unpacking how couples I think sometimes they want to go down this path together,
Mhm.
and one maybe is motivated and one isn't. And I don't know. Have you ever experienced or come across that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because your why is not the same as your spouse's.
Yeah.
Right. And so they have to figure out their own, and they're not always ready at the same time that you are.
Right.
Right. So they've got to figure out what it is. I talked to a really nice gentleman at the gym probably a couple of months ago now, and his wife has had a knee replacement and a hip replacement, and he's 68, in that range. And he's at the gym 3-4 days a week. And he said to me, I've been trying to get her to come with me, but she won't come. And she tells me, I can't do it because of this, and I can't do it because of that. And I keep telling her, but you need to come with me, right?
Yeah.
And I said to him, but she's not ready yet,
yeah.
right? There's things there. She's had a knee replacement and a hip replacement. Is she afraid? Does she know what she can do safely, right? Is she worried she can't keep up? There's a lot of things to unpack for people. So it's not the same for both couples, right, in a relationship. And so I think understanding that is part of it.
Yeah.
And they might not ever be in that place where they're ready.
Yeah.
And then that is their choice.
Yeah.
And I've said, people repeatedly, you cannot control someone else's behavior.
Yeah.
You cannot.
I've heard
even your spouse.
I've heard it so many times. I guess the analogy of just worry about your own backyard and don't worry about looking over the fence.
Exactly.
Right? And so that's, it's your own race or your own,
Mm-hmm.
it's your own.
And I think it's hard when it's a spouse, right? Because we love them
Yeah.
and we want them to be happy and we want them to be healthy and we want them to be with us for as long as they possibly can be.
Right.
But we all make our own choices.
Correct.
And so, if your spouse's choice is not to keep doing the things that you're doing and isn't going to follow the same path as you, that is their choice. We love them the way that they are. We love them before they decided to make that choice, right? And you just kind of come to the, I guess, end result of you go your path on that particular thing, and they're going to take theirs.
Yeah.
And,
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if that was helpful or not.
No, it helps unpack it, I think.
It helps unpack it a little bit. Yeah. Everybody's just in a different place. And if they're not doing it, there's a reason.
Right.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
So then it becomes, maybe just take you as an example. I'm not saying this is what's happening, but maybe you didn't need a coach, but your spouse does.
Yeah, and
right?
I'm okay talking about our situation, but definitely Jamie was far more motivated than I was at one time, but she couldn't. And then definitely our style of training needed to be different. So now, like today, we're both very active, but she has a different process of what she does for movement and activity than I do. And we're not going to do it all the same together, right? Like our movement and our training, right? So,
but at the end of the day, if you come together and there's things that you can do together that perhaps you weren't doing before, then that's fabulous. Right?
Do. Yeah.
So like my husband is a team sport player. He loves playing team sports. So he's played hockey for years, right? And he laughs and he says, I'm not the best player on the team by far, but I just love to go out and play.
Right.
That is how he likes to get his movement in, is team sport, right?
Yeah.
That is his thing. And that's not my thing. I don't like team sports. Never did, right? So are we ever going to play on a team and play baseball together? Or am I ever going to go out and put on a pair of skates and play hockey with him? No. This is not going to happen.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if we can take our kids and go out to the mountains and hiking and do these things, and it's great, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He'll do his thing. I'll do my thing. And as long as you can do those things together, I think it's great.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Personal meaning. So this is the sense of purpose, which we've already talked about, but I want to just say that it changes. So my sense of purpose and my values, the values have stayed the same. I shouldn't say that. But my sense of purpose from when I was 25 to now are not the same. And our sense of purpose at 50 is not the same as at 70. So be prepared for it to change.
Sure.
Right. And be able to roll with the punches and go, I'm not feeling so motivated these days. I wonder why that might be. Well, maybe it's because you need to change and figure out your new purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you've met the goals. Maybe things have changed in life. I met somebody else that said, you know, for the longest time, them and their spouse worked out together, but when their spouse passed away, they didn't want to go and do that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Their purpose in going was to spend time with their spouse,
Yeah.
right? But now their spouse isn't there, so there's no purpose to go, right? So you have to find a new purpose, right? That's just it's a very common example. It happens a lot. Right?
Yeah, and I would think like also as we age, our training, like you can get to a point where you may potentially overtrain too, right?
For sure.
Changing how your methods or what you're doing, right? So,
yeah, for sure. And how you care for your body changes. You know, what your body needs changes.
Yeah.
So if we take women for an example, you know, what women will want in their 30s is different than what their bodies need when they're in their 50s. Right? It's not the same thing. So, and that changes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's just part of the process.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And not beating ourselves up when the process changes.
100%.
100%. And the last one is a sense of agency. And this is when you take responsibility for your choices, you actually get to take control of your life instead of feeling like it's out of control. And this sense of control is really big for people that are in a constant cycle of doctor's appointments and medications, and because it's appointment after appointment, and it's constant, and you really feel like you don't have any control over what's happening. So when you start to take control of your health, and then you have a purpose to doing it, all of a sudden you've totally taken control of what's happening, and then you can really start to see the change. Because it's not fun not having control over your time, not having control of where you're going, even the control over how often am I getting sick? I get sick all the time. Well, that's all totally out of my control. It's actually not. Let's work on building our resiliency and building some health, and then you're not going to get sick as often.
Yeah.
Right. So
I have a friend that is retired and doesn't live here, but he went through cancer, lymphoma, and beat it, and he's done really well for himself, but he likes staying active and busy, and he's retired, but he often told the story, and he giggled about it, but he decided to like go meet the other retired fellas for coffee at McDonald's at their local town, and he'd joke about they'd almost like try to one up each other on their illnesses. He swore some of them were made up. Like they just would continuously talk about these illnesses, and he just would have no part of it. He needs to stay active and not be around that negativity was his comments, right? So,
Well, and it's so interesting you say that, because my father-in-law is at Hearthstone and he's 86, and he has always been incredibly active. We had him up on water skis the last time when he was 80. So and he was pissed because he couldn't get up on one ski at 80, right? He's always skated. He's always swam. He's just always been a very, very active person. And he was over supper the other night, and he says, I'm just getting so tired. You know, everybody just talks about being sick. Everybody's always talking about being sick. And this hurts and that hurts. And it becomes a very big part of your conversations. And you're like, wouldn't it be great to not have that conversation every single day? I don't think I want to get there where I'm having that conversation every day. Thank you very much. But it is incredibly common. But again, it's one of those things where, is this common to have all these aches and pains, to feel this way, or is it normal? Well, it's common, right? My father-in-law doesn't have all those. He's been active his whole life. He's kept moving. He eats really well, you know, and he's always had a good community around him. He's had when we talk about the pillars, he's had strong pillars.
Good.
Right? And so at 86, he's doing fantastic. My mom's the same way. 81, going concern, right? But their pillars are strong.
Good.
And that makes all the difference in the world, right? So
excellent.
So wellness means different things to different people, but this is from the NIH, which is the National Institute of Health. I like this quote because it kind of sums it all up at the same time. People often think about wellness in terms of physical health. So we talked about this at the beginning. Nutrition, exercise, weight management. That is health. It's not, right? It's way more, and we're going to talk about all the mores, not all today. It's holistic integration of physical, mental, spiritual well-being, fueling the body, engaging the mind, and nurturing your spirit.
Yeah.
So it encompasses so much more. I talked to one of my clients that comes in. They have a friend in the family, and at 70, his spouse passed away. And so they've been married for over 50 years. That's a lot of your life to be with somebody else, right? And all of a sudden he started getting sick all the time. And he's going to the doctor and they're running all the tests and they're, all these things are going wrong, but there's nothing wrong with him. Every test comes back that he's perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong. And finally, one of his kids said, maybe we need to just go get another opinion. So they went and saw another doctor. And so this doctor knew nothing about him and started asking, well, what has changed in your life lately?
Yeah.
And he said, well, my wife just passed away about 6 months ago. And so this new doctor said, oh, well, I bet you that's had a big impact on your life.
Yeah.
So imagine going from sharing every single moment of your life with someone to having nobody there. Does that affect your health? Oh, yeah. Imagine being used to cooking for 2 people and then starting to cook for 1.
Yeah.
Does that impact your health? How hard is it to cook for 1 person when your spouse is not there? Right? How hard is it to make new connections and start to get back out and be with people? Maybe for some people, hard. And does that affect your health?
Yeah.
If you were going out walking, like our example from earlier, you're going out walking together every day and you stop doing that because there's just too many memories in it.
Yeah.
Is that affecting your health too? Yeah. And so until somebody actually pointed out and said, wow, this is kind of the catalyst for all of it. And they gave him some just really simple things, right? So a family member would come and they'd go walking, right? Started getting some meals. There's somebody in their town that does meals. And so started having somebody that would bring them a single serving of stuff. We have some great people here that do that kind of thing as well, right? But those little things, and all of a sudden his health totally changed back again, right? As they kind of fixed each of those things that had changed when his wife passed away.
Regained purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Regain your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's incredibly powerful what you can change just by that purpose part. So align your daily routines with your values and then making choices that reflect your beliefs and your values. Yeah. All right. So how do you create those changes? I love the 5 whys. The 5 whys is one of my favorite things. And I do this with all my clients. And I kind of did it with you, but not entirely. So an example of that is somebody will come in and they will say, I want to lose 25 pounds. And my response is, why is that important to you? Why is it important? Well, I want to fit into a dress that I wore 10 years ago. Well, why is that important? Because it'll make me feel better about myself. It'll increase my self-esteem. Well, why is that important to you? Well, because I'm starting to feel old. Oh, well, now we're getting somewhere. Because it's not about the 25 pounds. We think it's the 25 pounds, but there's a much deeper why there. Much, much deeper. And so when somebody says, I'm starting to feel old, and so why is this now important? You're 40 and you feel old. Why is this important? I am scared. I am watching my parents age and they are ill. And I am so scared I'm going to be the same way. That's your why. The 25 pounds is nothing. That is a nothing. And isn't it more powerful to know that you are scared of going through what your parents are going through? And is that a better motivator than I want to lose 25 pounds?
Right.
100% it is.
Sure it is.
Right. And so the 5 whys is really powerful when we share it with clients, and anybody can do it. It does help to have somebody kind of guide you a little bit when you're doing it. But even for just people to do it on their own and just kind of think about it and really give it some serious thought, because almost every single person that I run into will give me kind of those pat answers, right? And And it's very rare that those are actually the reason.
I've heard the 5 whys before, and it gets you from surface to really where you're trying to go.
It does.
If you're serious with yourself, it's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Like I question myself around habits or so on. Just the 5 whys and why do I do this? Well, okay, but why? And it's a really good method, so that's cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah, it's incredibly profound, and I find it's highly beneficial for
Yeah.
people. So, and then when we do the whys, we also start talking about goals. And when we set certain kinds of goals, they set certain mindsets up, right? So we can talk about a behavior goal, which is really motivational. So I'm going to walk for 30 minutes a day, or 15 minutes if you do nothing already, or 5, right? But I'm going to walk for 5 minutes a day. That's a behavior goal. An outcome goal is I'm going to lose 25 pounds. A behavior goal you control. An outcome goal, you may not be able to control all of that, or that outcome, right? So if you weighed 125 pounds when you were 16 and you are now 40 and you're saying, I would like to weigh 125 pounds, the same as I did when I was 16, it's probably not a valid goal. Right. And it is very outcome oriented. Are there outside pieces that are going to interfere with you being able to do that? Yes. There's a lot of them. So we push people more in a behavior goal orientation, just because that's typically more attainable and it's more motivational. The other one is avoiding goals and approaching goals. So there's a difference between those two things. Avoiding goals are restrictive. So it means I am never eating carbs again.
Yeah.
Right? We've heard so many people say that. That's a restriction goal. Yeah. Restriction goals go absolutely against human nature. The more you take something away from somebody, the more they want it. That's just human nature.
Sure.
So when we do approach goals, we're adding things. So instead of saying, I'm just going to take all this away from you, all the things you love, you can no longer have. I'm going to tell you, instead of that, you can still have all those things, but I want you to add protein instead.
Yeah. And
what will happen is those other things will gradually fall away because you're allowed to add, and I'm not telling you can't have anything. And the behavior change will just start to happen. Yeah. But again, it's a mindset piece, right? Yeah. Food is very psychological, and health is very psychological.
Yeah, no, totally. And I know for myself, a funny example of that was I was really counting calories a few years ago, and in a pretty good calorie deficit. So I was being really mindful of even items like dairy. And the summer came around, and I did pretty good for a handful of weeks. But I learned this now, but my body was craving dairy calcium so bad I would binge on ice cream or something like this. So then I'd be far worse, right? So definitely lessons I've learned over the years too, right? So yeah.
And there is something to be said for, you know what, everything in moderation. If you're at a birthday party and you don't let yourself have a piece of cake to celebrate with your child or grandchild, or whatever it might be, and then you go to the next event and you don't, again, take part, eventually you are going to eat the entire cake. Yeah. Like you're just going to binge on the cake. Yeah. And that again is human nature. The more you restrict, the more likely you are to binge or to do something in excess later on. So, and then we have mastery and performance goals. So mastery means I'm willing to get a little bit better all the time, right? So maybe I'm going to start with 5-minute walk every day, and I'm going to do that for 2 weeks. And then I'm going to get a little better, and I'm going to go for 10 minutes, which is kind of what you did, right? With your walking. So I'm going to start, and this is what I'm going to do. And then I'm just gradually going to increase it a little bit so that I can master doing one thing at a time, right? And the more we apply mastery goals that are in line with our purpose or our why, the more motivation we actually create for ourselves. Right. Because motivation isn't something that you just get. It's just, I'm going to wait until I'm motivated enough to do it. No, that's not how it works. We get motivated by taking action. And so mastery goals get us taking action so that we're motivated to do more. Right? Performance goals are, I'm going to be running a marathon in 8 weeks for somebody that's never even started walking yet.
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
Right. People can do it 100%. There are people that will do it, but they're also, again, in the minority.
Mhm.
So for the most part, people do better with mastery goals than they do with performance goals. Any questions about goal setting?
No, I think
Like-
that's excellent.
Yeah, we do a lot of goal setting. A state of which a human being functions at an optimal level of integration between the elements of body, mind, and spirit. The well individual is one that is happy, healthy, and whole, and who perceives his or her life as one with meaning and purpose. This is Richard Gerber, he's a doctor, and it's a fabulous quote about health and how we can integrate all those pieces together. And happiness and health they go hand in hand.
Yes.
So, yeah. That's all I have to say. So do we have
Awesome.
questions?
Do we have any questions out there?
Do we have questions?
There's a couple.
Was there?
Excellent.
What is the importance of muscle memory, making things easier after it becomes a habit, or like tapping into that? I don't know, but
The importance
the importance of muscle memory making things easier after it becomes a habit. How important is that maybe?
I'm not really sure what the question is asking. So if I'm taking that from an exercise
I
standpoint,
think that was when you were talking
when I was
about
talking
those
about
steps.
little steps in movement. So muscle memory is a thing, but there's also a lot of factors that go along with that. You can't just look at the muscle memory itself. There's more than that. And I'm not sure if this person is talking about they kind of feel like they're stuck or they're not making progress, or if it's more of a, I don't know, that then you don't feel motivated anymore because you feel like you're stuck. Maybe I'm not positive on that part. But there are lots of ways to change how your workouts are going so that you can regain that motivation to keep going. But again, part of it is purpose. So.
Yeah, and I guess if you don't mind me jumping in
Yeah,
for a second, for myself, I found I would have to switch up sometimes different ways of exercising a little bit.
Mhm.
So as I was going through my journey, I found I plateaued, and then I would move to maybe a little bit more of like rowing and different kind of like kind of a HIIT style for a while, and then I'd move to more just strictly weights and some steady state cardio. But I found for myself changing it a little bit always seemed to kind of help a little bit.
Yeah.
But
And some people thrive on change,
Yeah.
and other people thrive on routine. So I guess there's two parts to that. If you're feeling like you're no longer motivated because the muscle memory is there and you're just kind of going through the motions, and it becomes I'm just going through the motions, then you probably need to change things up. You need to do something different. If it is doesn't have anything to do with motivation per se, but you just kind of feel like you're in a rut with what you're doing, then maybe you need to increase your weights, you need to change repetition, you need to change what you're doing entirely. Right.
I think too, it was around like changing when you're changing your habits, so like adding something to your routine or.
Adding something
Gotcha.
into your routine. Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. That can
But
be.
your answers are still helpful.
Okay. That's good. Were there any other ones?
No.
No, that was the one?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you have for me? Because you've been writing.
I've been making all sorts of notes.
I saw you writing over there.
I was kind of curious about, I guess, this whole concept, like, of course, bringing it all together with whole wellness. I guess what's the importance of or how does sleep tie together with this journey? The benefits, how it possibly can change, kind of all the pieces around sleep and rest.
Yeah. So sleep is actually more important than exercise.
Mhm.
And you talk to any mom with a baby, and they will tell you that anything they would love more than anything else to be able to sleep. That would be fantastic. But all of your healing, all of your rejuvenation of body function happens when you sleep.
Yeah.
The more that you can set your circadian rhythm where you get, you go to sleep at the same time every night and get up at the same time every morning, the better your system functions, the better your hormones function, the more your appetite is regulated, the more energy that you will have. So as we're talking about each of the pillars, you're actually going to find that sleep is directly related to every single one of them.
Right.
Because sleep is, like I said, one of the most important things that you can do for your overall health. So if you're not sleeping, there's a reason why. So why are you not sleeping, right? And the average adult needs between 7 and 9 hours of sleep a night. So for our high energy people that say, I can go on 4 hours sleep a night and I'm fantastic and thriving, I would probably guess they're not thriving in some way, shape, or form.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, sleep affects every single system in your body. It affects your organ function. It affects your brain function.
Yeah.
It has a massive impact if you've gone without sleep. Again, you could talk to a mom that's gone without sleep repeatedly for me with our daughter, 2 years, no sleep, right? And so when that happens, does it affect your mental health? Yes, right? Does it affect your physical health and your ability to actually function and do physical activities? Yes, right? When we talk about relationships, if you're not getting enough sleep, does it affect your relationships? Yeah, because you're kind of moody and cranky. So you tend not to quite be yourself when you're not getting enough sleep. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so a scenario where maybe a person has kind of hit that low, they're ready for a change, they ask the 5 whys, they're building some goals out. Could you comment or maybe talk a little bit about the importance of sustaining that? And I guess what I'm kind of leaning towards is through recording or taking notes of your journey, your progress, journaling. What's some of your thoughts around that?
So journaling is a fantastic tool. It works for a lot of people. For some people, it doesn't. Some people are writers, right? And so putting pen to paper or even keeping a journal on a tablet is highly beneficial to them. But again, it doesn't work for everybody.
Okay.
So I'm a huge fan of journaling because it lets you look back and you can see where you were. And so when you're feeling like that lack of motivation to continue, you can go back and take a peek at your journey.
Right.
I also think that it's a moment for reflection. So it keeps you present and keeps you aware of what is happening on a day-to-day basis. I love the journaling aspect. I also keep a gratitude journal. I think before you go to bed every night, to make sure that you're feeling grateful about the things that are happening in life. You can only think of a couple if it's been a particularly rough day. There's been days where I'm like, the sun was shining today. Boy, am I grateful the sun shone today because it was just a rough day, right? But that can also be part of writing. But it's actually proven that if the last thing that you do before you go to sleep at night is to think about positive things, your whole demeanor when you get up in the morning will be much more positive. So those things carry forward. So does journaling carry forward? Yes, but it's not for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
What about these things?
Oh.
and when you're, I guess it's we use them a lot. They're a great tool.
They are.
But laying in bed, looking at it before bed, going to bed, it's beside you, notifications going on. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't allow phones in bedrooms in our house. They are not allowed. And there is actually a lot of data that supports if you have your phone in your hand or in your room, that it affects your sleep cycle. That if you're looking at your phone within an hour before going to bed, it will affect your sleep cycle and you will not have as good of a sleep. You will not have as deep of a sleep. That if it's in your room, even if you're not looking at it and it's sitting there beside your bed, it will disrupt your sleep. even if you think it doesn't, there's disruption there. And even just changes in light and flickers and things can have an effect on your sleep. And there's also the, I can't remember what they call them, but there's emissions of, yeah, no,
That's not right.
no, that's not right. It'll come to me after we're done talking probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's emissions that come off of your phone. And so they're sitting beside your head the whole night while you're sleeping. So they will affect your sleep. Yeah. What else do phones do? They break communication. They create disparity in a relationship when somebody is looking at their phone instead of carrying on a conversation with their spouse. Going for supper with a friend and you're constantly looking at your phone has harmful effects on a relationship. Spending all of your time on a phone affects your mental health because that's a fairy tale land.
Yeah.
That's not real, right? And all the things that we see on social media and all the videos and all those things are very quick response things. They stimulate our brain, they bump your dopamine, and then you got to find a new fix.
Yeah.
And having conversations with people doesn't give you the same thing. It's not fast enough. It's not enough stimulation. And so a lot of people that you can become addicted to being on your phone.
Yeah.
You can become addicted to that dopamine hit of watching silly cat videos over and over and over again, right? And people will spend many hours. I would encourage people to take a look at just what their screen time says, because people will tell me all the time, I don't have time to go for a walk.
Right.
But when we pull up their phone and look at their screen time, the hour and a half they sat there scrolling Facebook would say that, you do have time.
Right.
You chose, you made a choice, and your choice was to spend the hour and a half on social media on your phone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so it is a massive distraction from life, period. Yeah. It affects every pillar, every pillar. Yeah, has a massive impact. And it's very hard to find your purpose if you're staring at a screen all day. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to figure that out because your reality is a little bit skewed, right? You're living somewhere else. Yeah.
I'm just going to check back if any other questions popped in. Okay. No. Talked a little bit about the importance of sleep. We talked, but it came up about busy moms, busy people in general. Would you have any suggestions about someone that wants to they're ready to start, they're going to make some change, they want to add movement in their life? Do you have any tips or tricks around incorporating it into their everyday life, some of those first steps about getting a little bit more movement in their life to make it and fitting it into their business
and fitting it into their schedule? Yeah. I think it's a multi-tiered approach because everybody is going to be very different, right? So we do a lot of reverse engineering. So we reverse engineer your day and look at where are those gaps, where are the things that you could move, shift. Do we need some help from a spouse? Are they available to, in the morning? So you could go for that 15, 20-minute walk, right? And start your day with that walk. For me, I went through a huge issue with my cortisol being way too high and my stress levels were insane. And part of what I had to do was get up earlier than everyone else in my house and sit and read a book and look outside or sit on my back deck and read a book and just have calm, because my cortisol was so high that exercise was challenging and it actually made my cortisol go higher, right? Mm-hmm. So I actually needed to calm myself down a little bit more. And so part of doing that was adjusting my schedule and saying, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to get up earlier, but if I'm going to make that change, maybe I just have to get up 15 minutes earlier than everybody else so that I have that time for myself. I know a lot of women that do that, right? They will get up at 5:30 in the morning, they'll go for their walk, or they'll get up at 5:30 in the morning so they can just have peace and quiet and have a very calm start to their day instead of waking up with a kid yanking on them, right? And then it's go, 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 go. And so if your morning starts with chaos, the rest of your day is probably going to be chaotic. So some of it is reverse engineering. Some of it is maybe figuring out what you need. Do you need to just sit and have calm? Do you need to go for a walk? Do you need to make yourself a meal, right? Is that maybe your first step? Maybe part of your step is getting the kids to help make their own lunches if they're not already doing so, and teaching them how to do that so you get something taken off your plate. Sometimes it's setting boundaries, because we take on more than we need to, and we don't necessarily delegate and give people within our own homes jobs that they can do, right? Or to just simply say, you know what, this is my time. So I need you as my spouse to look after the kids for half an hour and parent children for half an hour so I can go and do something.
Yeah.
Right. And I think sometimes it's just having a conversation.
Yeah.
So every situation is different. Every person, what they need is different. And part of it is figuring out your why, right?
Yeah.
Where do I need to start? And then maybe it is that moment of calm.
Yeah.
Maybe it's delegating.
So one thing to add to that, I guess, one thing we used to do especially when our girls are in the house and we're definitely busier, we do it less now, but on Sundays, we'd have our family executive meeting in the evening, and we planned out our meals for the whole week, our meal schedule plan. We had a calendar that was in everybody's iPhone. So we knew what was happening, right? And so it was very clear if there was, some chicken that had to be pulled out of the freezer that morning, everybody could pitch in and do part of it. Our girls were teenagers at that time, like they knew they could maybe start supper if we were so anyways, that was kind of another time saver that really helped us a lot, because we had an idea what was happening. Everybody did. Everybody's on the same page.
And I think, every family is different, but I'm very old fashioned. I consider myself to be very old fashioned. We started teaching our kids how to sort laundry when they were about 3. Because by then they're starting to learn colors, right? So they understand blue and green, and by 4 they're sorting laundry, then sitting, and they're doing it with me, right? And it's not like I'm going, here, take a basket of laundry and sort. No, but I'm teaching them, and they're doing it with me, right? The kids learned how to run the washing machine. They learned how to strip a bed. They learned how to make a bed. They learned how to make a sandwich. They learned how to pitch in around the house, right? Oh, Sunday's house cleaning day. Guess what? It's your job to clean toilets every Sunday. It's house cleaning. Everybody, we got 3 kids. Everybody has jobs. 2 hours, the entire house is clean. We're out. Let's go do something fun, right? But when you do that, it's amazing how much time it frees up for you when your kids understand how to do things for themselves.
Yeah.
And it teaches them a whole lot of self-esteem. It teaches them a lot of self-worth. It teaches them resilience. It teaches them so many things that they then carry on into life later.
Yeah.
I have not done a load of laundry for one of my kids since they were 10. They do it all themselves. I haven't made a lunch for one of my kids since they were in elementary school, right? But it is amazing how many, all of my kids have come home at one point in time and said, so-and-so, grade 11, has never made a sandwich.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to make a sandwich. So mom's still making all the lunches every day, right? And so in the time that she could make all those lunches, could she go out for a walk? Yeah. So delegate it out, right?
Yeah.
And so we actually did something similar to you, but we did it where on our calendar, each of my kids have had a night. What are you making tonight?
Oh, wow.
So supper's on you, and you have to have meat, you have to have a vegetable, and you have to have something that's a little bit more of a starchy carb. We want some balance in there. So what all are we having? It's got to have fat in there too. So what's going to be in there? And I taught them about proportions, and they know how to cook. Every one of my kids knows how to cook, but they did that because I taught them, this is your meal night. What goes on the grocery list if you're going to make that? So they're helping with meal planning. They're helping with meal prep. Right? They're making meals. They're understanding how to do that. If I don't have to cook meals 3 nights a week, do I have more time for me?
Sure.
Oh, of course I do.
Yeah.
right? So whether that's I want to sit here and read a book, or I want to go out for a walk, or whatever it is, I now have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Right. So I think part of it is also how we teach our kids. How do we arrange our families? Where do we set our boundaries for ourselves? My boundary was my children need to learn how to do these things so that I don't do everything for everyone, because that is exhausting, man.
Yeah, 100%.
It's exhausting, but it's amazing how many parents do that. And I'm not knocking them by
Yeah.
any means. You run your household however you want to run your household. But for me, that was, yeah, that's a big part of it.
But it's still good knowing, like, that's great advice, and knowing that it's very feasible, it's possible.
Absolutely.
So, right, so that's good to know. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you had any more questions come in? No?
No?
Well,
Well, that's okay. There'll be more next time.
I think this has been a really great session, opening up our 6-part series. So, you know what? I think this is a great place to kind of park and get ready for the next pillar in a couple weeks. So October 2nd, we'll be coming back live. We should have our technology a little bit more lined up. So again, apologies for that, but we're so thankful that you came on and took the time to hear this important subject and continue to learn about it. And we're just grateful and thankful that and excited that we can bring this to you and just provide an extra resource. So anyways, thank you for tonight.
Yes.
This has been awesome.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.